that could be the loudest introduction I've had ever at Hope Kids. I'm pretty sure the people living over in Summerhill probably heard us shouting. What do you think? It was pretty loud. What a great way, though, to start Hope Discovery Kids on yet another Sunday. And it's really awesome because, you know what? This is actually my first time this whole year that I've been able to do the MC role. So thank you so much for giving me a lovely, warm welcome. And I know back at home, I can hear you guys clapping and shouting too because I know everyone's so excited to be at Hope Kids. Now, the great thing about today is we're at a brand new series. And our series is called All About Jesus. So for the next 5 weeks, our series is going to be called All About Jesus. And today's topic is Jesus as a child. Because sometimes we think about Jesus as when he was a man and also when he was a baby, but we sometimes forget that he was actually a child as well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. Now, we also have our big idea. And the big idea is something that we want you guys to take away and we want you guys to remember each and every week. And our big idea is following Jesus is best. Following Jesus is best. It's always good if you can follow Jesus no matter what's going on in your life. Now, like we have a big idea, we also have our special verse of the day. And our verse comes from the New Testament in the book of John. It's 14 verse 23. And it might be up on the screen for you guys as well. And it says, Jesus replied, "Anyone that loves me will obey my teaching. My Father will love them, and we will go to them, and we will make a home with them." And that's really beautiful because that's what he's saying is that he wants to live with us and spend all the time with us. And I think that is really, really cool. Now, also coming up, we're going to have our Energizer. Now, our Energizer is going to be a little bit different today. It's going to be some photos of some people when they were babies that might be people that you recognise. We're going to try and work out if you can work out who those people are. Might be even some people in this room today. That might be a bit of a hint. Yeah. And we also do our craft section. Now, our craft section is doing a marble maze. It's going to be amazing. Did you guys get that? Oh, you guys are laughing at home. I can hear it. You guys are laughing. You guys love it. We're going to do a marble maze. And also, because we want an extra special today for this Sunday, we're getting the amazing Phil Van Ryn, who's not even actually here today. He's actually on a really big holiday and at the moment he's in big sunny Queensland, but he still found some time to bring us the word today. So that's going to be on screen and that's going to be really, really awesome. So make sure you watch out for that. But before we do any of those things, there's one other thing we normally do. Worship. So what we're going to do, we're going to stand up on our feet, we're going to get the worship team up, and we're going to dance and sing for Jesus because we love our God. Let's go, team.
God sent his son and his beloved one, and to wash away all my sin and shame. He gave up his life so that we might live. God, our Savior and King. My debt He paid on the cross that day. when he rose again. He gave up his life so that we might live. So worthy is the Lamb who was slain when he conquered death, when he rose again. And to the Lord our whole Australian sing, he's worthy to be praised. He's our God.
How good was that energize? How good was that worship already, yeah? Woo! We're not even halfway through it all. We've got heaps to go. Heaps more fun to have. Now, speaking of fun, we're going to have a bit of fun now with some pictures in our Energizer. So as I said before at the start, we're going to show you some pictures of people when they were babies. And we're going to see if you can work out who that person is before we put their adult picture up. How does that sound? And I reckon you guys at home, you can try and shout it out through the TV screen. And if you're loud enough, I reckon I could hear you too. So we're going to kick it off with our first picture. Okay, who do we think this one is? Who do we think? We think it's Claire. Do you guys think it's Claire at home? Let's have a look. Who do we think it is? Well, the answer is, oh, it's Claire. It is Claire. That's 1 for 1. That's pretty good. We're off to a good start, 100%. Let's keep that momentum going. All right, next one. Who do we think this one? Oh, geez, red hair. We're thinking it's Katie. We reckon it's Katie. Let's have a look. The answer is, oh, it's Katie. She's one of our dancers on our Hope Discovery team. How cool is that? And you guys can also be one of those dancers if you ever want to as well. All right, moving on. Number 3. Let's have a look at number 3. Oh, gee, that's a tough one. All right, who do you think it is? It's my mum. Do you think it's my mum? Oh, it's someone. All right. Melissa, let's have a look. What do you guys think? Oh, it's Melissa. And I think she's in the room today. Is that right? She's here. Yeah, she's here. Well done, Melissa. Thank you. All right, moving on. Number 4, I think it is. Oh. Someone said Toby really quickly there. Wow, you've known Toby for a long time, if you're right. Let's have a look. Who is it? It's not. It's Jonathan. Ah, that's right. We can't get everything right in life. That's fine. Jonathan, lovely photo of you, Jonathan. Jonathan's working on our tech team today. Thank you for your photo, Jonathan. Well done. We're going to move on. Who's our next one? Ooh, skateboard. Who's a bit of a skater, a bit of a sporty person? Who do we think that is? Any ideas? Phil? You reckon it's Phil? What do you reckon, team? Were you at home? Do you think it's Phil? Let's have a look. It is. It's Phil. It's Phil Beeston. And look at him. He's still doing sporty stuff now. Just doesn't stop, that man. He's hard to keep up with. All right, next one. Who do we think? Oh, well, we thought it was Toby the last time. Do we think it's Toby this time? You reckon? Let's have a look. Who is it? Oh, it's Toby. And what a wonderful smile that man has. Oh, that's so cool. All right, let's keep going. Who else have we got? Oh, Winnie. Oh, I didn't think about Winnie. All right, this could be our last one. So are we locked in? Do we definitely think this is Winnie? You're sure? Anyone else think anything else? What about at home? You guys think it's Winnie too? Well, let's find out. Who is it? Oh, it's the lovely Winnie. Well, what a great job you guys did. Isn't that? Because that was really tough, I thought. Some of those photos, it's actually really hard to work out. I mean, you know who they are, what they look like now, but when they're babies, it can be really hard to know. And you know, the funny thing is, you sometimes probably forget that as adults, we used to be children as well. And you know what? That actually reminds me, that's the same as Jesus. Quite often when I think about Jesus, or we think about Jesus, we go, well, I remember Jesus as a man, because they talked about a lot of the stories that he had when he was an adult. And I remember that he was born in a manger and he was a baby. But he actually grew up. So he went from a baby to a toddler, to a young person like everyone is here today, to a teenager, and then to an adult. So you know what that tells me? Is that all the things that we go through, whether it be like maybe some bullying or maybe some sibling rivalry with our brother or sister, or just some really tough times, maybe at school or at home, do you know what? Jesus went through that as well. So, you know, if we're struggling, we can always go to someone that does know what our struggles would be, and that person would be Jesus. So that's why following Jesus is always best. That's awesome. I'm thinking, what have we got coming up now? I'm pretty sure it's time for a Bible story, and we're going to play this clip. Everyone, check this out.
Jesus as a child. As a young child, Jesus travelled many times with his family, who wanted to keep him safe. After being born in Bethlehem, going to Jerusalem and then back to Bethlehem for a few years, some wise men came and gave the small child Jesus some expensive gifts. And they even bowed down and worshipped him. It wasn't long after that when Joseph, his father, was warned by God in a dream to take his family to another country called Egypt. When it was safe, they came back and made their home in a place called Nazareth. Here, Jesus lived with his family. Joseph was a carpenter. Like you, Jesus laughed and cried. Like you, he needed family and friends. Like you, he was sad and sometimes in pain. He went to school and he learned to read and write and do maths. When Jewish boys were 12, they had a special festival which was held at the temple in Jerusalem. So here was another long journey for him to go on, along with his family and friends who also had boys who were turning 12. They had to walk for about 5 days. All the 12-year-old boys would have sat through a special service, a little like our church services in the auditorium. Singing and reading were the main parts. Each boy would probably have to show they could read their Bible. They danced and ate special food and sat with the men. After this festival, a bit like a graduation, the boys would be considered young adults. It was at the temple when Jesus started to discover the Bible passages seemed to talk about his life. He asked questions and sat for hours with the teachers and forgot all about the time. Meanwhile, his family and all their friends had all packed up and were already on their way home. And Jesus wasn't missed for 3 days. Can you imagine that? Maybe his parents thought he was with his friends or other relatives. Oh wow, Mary and Joseph had to rush back to find him. And there he was, still listening to the teachers and still asking questions. He was fascinated, curious, and thinking about so much. He hadn't even noticed that his parents had gone. Do you think they were angry with him? Was Jesus disobedient? Do you think they were angry with him? Was Jesus disobedient? "We've been looking for you," said Joseph. "We had to come back and we've spent 3 days looking. What happened?" Jesus answered, "I'm doing what my heavenly Father wants me to do." Even though Jesus was discovering what his life purpose was, he still had to go home with his family and live in obedience to them. He was not disobedient, but he did have to learn to stay with his family until he was older.
Well, hi everybody, I'm Amanda and this is Solomon, and today we're going to do a craft called Find Jesus Marble Maze. So what you are going to need is a cardboard box, at least A4 size, okay? We need a maze template, that's this one. You'll need some straws. Can you show people the straws? And you'll need a glue stick, and some scissors, and some sticky tape.
And some textures.
And some textures, and you'll need some beads or a marble, okay? So we're gonna start the craft now. What do you reckon, Solomon? You ready to go? Okay, so first of all, our box, it needs to be really sturdy, and it has to have an open section, so we cut some off the back. Now we'll need to print this off if you're at home. We've done ours already. So are you ready, Solomon? Because what we have to do first of all is draw. So at the start, right here at the top where it says start, we have to draw Mary and Joseph. And that's Jesus in the temple. So we're going to grab our straws and we need to pop them down onto our maze where they might fit on these lines.
Wait a sec, I'm gonna.
And the corners could go around corners. what we have to do next is get the glue and put some glue all the way around the box. And put some glue all the way around because we need to stick this in the box. So what we've got to do now is put our marble in to play the game. Pop your marble at the start and then pick up the box, and you've got to wobble it in between all of your little straws and in the maze. Do you know what this craft is all about? It's reminding us that following Jesus' example of learning all about God is the best thing that we can do to grow.
This went all the way back here and then it went all the way back here.
Yes. You want to do it again?
Yeah.
Do it again.
Hey HDK, you may have guessed I am not in Launceston. I am in the middle of Australia, I'm in a town called Coobapedy, famous for opal mining, and it's a lovely place, but it has a few dangers, and so there are some things you need to do to make sure you're safe when you're out in the outback. One of the things you may want to pay attention to is something like this. This is a pretty important sign. They could be using blasting to get the opals out of the ground here. They could be shafts that you can fall down. So this stuff behind me, these are called mullock heaps, and they're basically the ground they've dug up from underground to look for these opals, and they're all over the place, but it's not the sort of place you want to just go wandering around. You need to be a little bit careful, but definitely worth exploring.
Hey guys, I've retreated inside for a couple of reasons. You may have heard it was a little bit windy out there, so it was mucking up with our sound, but also it was 40 degrees outside. This place is hot. And so you might see this wall behind me. That's solid rock. We're underground, about 5 meters underground in our hotel room right now. And the people in Coobapedy live underground. They cut their houses into the banks of the hills and they move in under there because it stays nice and cool. But the reason people come to Coobapedy is this. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but that is an opal. That's the sort of stuff that people are looking for when they come to Coobapedy. They're absolutely beautiful. They come in all sorts of colours, but you can see the rainbow in them. They occur under the ground, and that's what the people are digging up to try and find. So you might remember that sign I showed you when we were outside just before. It was a sign to tell you about some of the dangers that exist in Coobapedy. It can be a dangerous place if you're not careful and you don't obey the rules. Those signs are there to keep people safe and to make sure they have a great time when they come to Coobapedy. So just like Coobapedy has those signs and those boundaries to keep all the people who come here safe, perhaps you've got some rules and some boundaries at your home or even at school. And those rules and boundaries, again, are designed to keep you safe, to make sure everyone gets along and everyone has a great time. In this series we're doing now, we're learning all about the life of Jesus. And today's is all about the young life of Jesus. We don't have a huge amount written about the young life of Jesus, but this is one of the key stories that we're learning about today. So in the story you might have seen, Jesus and his family travelled all the way to Jerusalem when he was 12 years old. And then after they'd performed the ceremonies that they needed to do, they started travelling home. And suddenly Mary and Joseph realised, where's Jesus? We haven't seen him for ages. And they start hunting around and they realise he's not with them. And they rush all the way back to Jerusalem and search the whole city trying to find him. They must have been freaking out. Imagine what your parents would be like if they realised you'd gone missing for 3 days. And finally they find him in the temple. And Jesus is just sitting there talking and listening. And he's like, what? Didn't you know where I was? I'd be in my Father's house. You see, I don't think he really got how his parents' heart was for them. They loved him so much. And they knew he was special, but they still wanted to keep him safe. And when he was missing, he wasn't safe for them. We can learn a lot from the early life of Jesus. I hunted through the drawers in our hotel room and found the trusty Gideon's Bible. And I'm going to read the final verse from our reading today. It's from Luke chapter 2, and this is verse 51. He went down with them to Nazareth, and he was subject to them. And his mother kept all these things in her heart. You see, subject to them means he showed them respect. He followed the boundaries they might have set, because that's how families get along. We can learn a lot from this early life of Jesus. He was a normal kid. Yes, he was special, and yes, he was destined for great things, but he still had a normal life to some extent. He had boundaries and rules he had to follow. He probably had chores he had to do. He had friends to play with. He had to get along with his brothers and sisters, which I'm sure wasn't always easy. Imagine if you were Jesus's brother. Pretty tricky job, I imagine. But we know that it says in here, he did those things just like a normal child, and we can learn a lot from them. All right, sign off from Cooper Petey. I'm going to go and do some noodling, which is hunting for opals. Maybe I'll find my fortune, but I probably won't. And I'll see you guys sometime next year, hopefully. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the service. Bye.
Well, let's give it up for Phil. What do you reckon? How was that? Congratulations, Phil, all the way from Cooper Petey. Wow. And how hot is that? You remember how hot he said it was outside? 40 degrees. That's like 2 of our days, isn't it? Now, normally what we do is when we have the speaker here, we just have a bit of an interaction. So this is Phil and this is Ben. So, Phil, I just want to say that was a really, really awesome talk. I love the fact that even though it was 40 degrees, you were willing to spend some time with us and share some stories that maybe we didn't know about the Bible.
Oh, well, thank you, Ben. I really like that feedback, and I've been having a great time on my holiday, but I also know that everywhere I go, I need to sometimes listen to the signs and make sure I do the right thing by obeying teaching. Yeah, well, I thought that was a really good thing I know I personally got that from you, Phil. I thought it was really good because, I sort of forget that sometimes when I'm a young person, I've still got to listen to people, and that includes Jesus, but clearly it also sometimes includes my parents. Imagine if I left for 3 days and they didn't know where I was. Yeah, well, that's right, Ben. That was what I was trying to get across, and thank you so much for listening. And I'm pretty sure the kids listen too because I didn't hear anything out there. So great job, kids. Give yourself a big round of applause. Well done.
All right, well, thanks, Phil. Let's give it up for Phil. Thanks, Phil. Thanks very much. And great job. That was fantastic. Now, I just thought I'd love, before we finish today and go over a couple of things, I just wanted to pray with you guys, if that's okay. How about we just bow our heads and close our eyes, and I'm just going to have a quick prayer. Father God, we thank you for everyone in our life, and we thank you particularly for the people that we can follow. And one of those people is Jesus, and he just lives such a great life, and we know that even though he was a baby and a man, but he grew up to be a man too, and he went through those things that sometimes we know we're going to go through as well. So thank you that he's that example that we can lean upon, and we can listen, and we can obey his teaching. And we also have other people in our life that can help us too, and that's our parents, or those really important people in our life that are just trying to do things to keep us safe. So make sure we listen to them, we obey their teaching, and we help keep everyone safe and everyone have a great time. Amen. Well, thank you very much, guys. That was awesome. I really appreciated you guys and the listening, and I know at home you guys are listening really well also. Now, next steps. What's the next thing we can do? Well, remember that maze that Amanda Towns did? Remember that? We all have an opportunity to build that exact maze. And that maze is how we can navigate through things and how we can listen to God's teaching and follow him. So make sure you take some time out today to try and do the maze. Now, do you guys remember the big idea that we talked about? Yeah, do you remember it? Following Jesus is best. Thank you, Atreyu. Following Jesus is always best. His teaching, if we obey his teaching and we love him, that's what we will do, and he'll always guide us on the right path. How awesome is that? Now, next week, what's happening next week? Well, do you know what? Next week we're talking about Jesus being baptized. So just like I, many years ago, made the decision myself to want to be baptized, Jesus also did that himself. So we're going to talk about how we can be baptized and how Jesus himself was baptized as well. Now, at the end of today, we're going to have some family discussion questions, which are going to come up on the screen once we've finished. And speaking of family time, parents, maybe you could share some stories with your children today, some stories about maybe some tough times and even some funny times you had when you were growing up and you were your children's age as well, because then it helps us really understand that, you know what, some point in time, we were all kids ourselves, even me included. Well, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone at home and everyone watching today. You have been amazing, amazing. Give yourselves a big round of applause for that. And what we're going to do now, we are going to sign off. We're going to say thank you. and have a great week. And we're going to see you next time at Hope Discovery Kids. Bye.